It's what is it today? It's October 9th. Time just keeps on ticking. We have the Vibecast, and today I'm gonna change it up because everyone loves to complain about the fact I only do CLIs and things that involves command lines. So just to prove to everyone that I'm not just a CLI guy, which rhymes nicely. I'm gonna show you a new tool that takes a lot of the agentic stuff that I've been working on and does a web-based version, which I'll share probably on a LinkedIn post and some code later. I haven't published it yet. I've been a little swamped on calls and I got nonstop calls, but you'll get a little sneak peek. I was hoping to have this available, but before we do, um, I see Nick's on the line. Hey, Nick, are you in Ottawa today? Where you at?
I am. I drove in this morning.
Okay, you
Well,
didn't have the.
after the event last night. So no one on the road, so nice smooth sailing last night.
Okay, well, it's good. So a big event here in Ottawa later today, I guess is the idea, or
Yeah, we've got quite a few people signed up. I was impressed with the number of people. We're approaching 40 now, so hopefully about 20 of them end up actually showing.
well, there seems like when there's less people, the drop-off rate is different. Like last night we had 202 people register for Toronto, and I think we had about I don't know what the exact number was, 60 maybe, 60, 70, somewhere in that number. It's kind of hard to tell in that room, but it was a decent turnout, I think. What'd you think of last night?
Oh, it was a great event. Lots of energy in the building and lots of motivated people. We had some new faces from the Elevate conference. A lot of people coming to the door saying Reuven invited me from his talk to come tonight, and so it was nice to see some new people as well.
Yeah, so I was at the Elevate conference in Toronto, which is essentially a kind of tech slash startup conference that they hold every year. And I was invited to do a roundtable. Drew, one of our part of our crew here in Toronto, invited me. He invites me every year, and it was interesting discussion. One of the things I'm gonna say, I posted this on LinkedIn because I when people ask me like about their startups, I don't want to be a total jerk and tell them it's garbage and but so I have this weird spot where I want to be supportive of people's ideas, but there's a lot of things that are really not differentiated. The wrappers around, ChatGPT and one of the discussions that I kept hearing was, oh my God, ChatGPT is coming out with this embedded app thing. And my business is going away. If your business is so rudimentary that some random new feature in ChatGPT is killing it, then it's probably not a very viable business in the first place. Just throwing it out there. And a lot of the businesses, almost all the ones I saw pitching, and maybe it's because I like to build stuff, and maybe it's because I'm maybe slightly arrogant in that, but a lot of the things I saw are really easy for us as agentic engineers to recreate like in literally minutes. And so the question in terms of these startups that I see at these conferences isn't necessarily the technical differentiation, like see people bragging about their computer vision or they've done some sort of fine tuning to a model or whatever that they're bragging about. But I think it's almost everything other than the tech. It's like, how do you go to market? How do you get your customers? How do you make those customers happy? And we talk about this all the time. It's that human relationship you have, the connection you have, the sort of unfair advantage that you have to get those customers, be in front of those customers. And the AI or the wrapper or whatever the heck you're doing is just a means of sort of, empowering them, but it's not necessarily a differentiator when anyone can just point literally Claude code at your site and rebuild what you've built and make it better relatively quickly. So anyway, it's random thoughts. Yeah, Josh, do you have a comment?
Yeah, no, like so I was part of a vibe coding competition like a week or two ago, and it was 18 hours to go from concept to production ready like application. And there was 10 teams. Like this was at the rally conference in Indianapolis. There was ten teams of us. The teams were only three people, and we worked overnight, and probably six out of the 10 teams came up with a relatively production ready applicate like platform or application that could be published within probably the next week and start generating revenue. It was absolutely like you can do it. Like it's that easy to put together. But like you're saying, it's those network effects. It's the data collection plan and how you're actually like bringing that into your business and how you go to market and how you actually attract customers and how you have that relationship. Yeah, that's what matters. The tech is much less of a moat than it used to be.
So should I be honest and be a dick, or should I be supportive and say you can do it and keep the honest assessments to myself?
I think it's a steering thing. Like it's a messaging and steering thing. It's like, yes, that is an idea, but are you actually differentiating from the competitors or the big dogs or actually like taking market share away from someone? And how are you doing that? Like those are the questions that need to be asked. It's not about like what you build and how pretty your front end is and all these other different, if you're wrapped into Chat GPT, it's about like how are you actually serving your customers? And I think that's where it's a lot of like startups get super caught up on, oh yeah, this is a cool idea for, some people and I'm gonna build it out, but are they actually gonna buy it? And are they actually going to become part of your ecosystem so there isn't those switching costs you're gonna get. So I think it's just being a little bit more kind and helping them with understanding where what the new paradigm is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's and for me, as an entrepreneur myself, you put your heart and soul into these things. You spend years and you struggle and you don't have any money, you don't have any
Yeah.
funding, you don't have any customers,
Yeah.
and I get that as well. This idea of an overnight success is mostly the idea of iteration on some passionate thing that
Mhm.
you understand more than anybody else. So, on one side, I don't want to be the guy shooting down their ideas, but I also want to be pragmatic enough to say, if you rethink it or do it slightly differently, So anyway, I struggle at these conferences because I
Well,
want to I want
ask
to
ask
empower them.
questions. So ask questions instead of, ask like poignant questions that like be curious and ask the questions about like those differentiations and what their customer base looks like and what their go-to-market strategy is and what their mode is and just have them answer those and have them like put that into their head of like, oh shit, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Or, hey, we need to pivot in a different direction with this so that we can actually sustain this while we build it out. Like those are the things that help out those entrepreneurs and those startups. Like saying, oh yeah, that's nice. That's kind of that doesn't really help them at all, right? And it's like, oh, that's cool looking. Okay, great. Yeah, so I can build a cool looking front end and in Claude in a couple minutes. Like that's not going to win you customers.
Yeah.
What's going to win you
No.
customers is your you know is your data and your value.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. All right, before we jump into today's demos, I got lots of new stuff to show and show you how I'm building it and all that kind of stuff. What I want to do is ask Jed, what are you working on? Yeah, I hear something about Ducky. What's
So
Ducky?
some time ago, OpenAI released the GPT real-time model, which allows true speech-to-speech inference. So the idea is within programming, for those who
Hmm.
aren't aware, there's a concept called rubber ducking. You take a rubber duck and you talk to it. You describe your problem, the different solutions you've attempted, and the constraints around those solutions. And the expectation is that while it doesn't automatically get you to the solution, it gets you closer. And so, what if the duck talked back? And that's the whole premise behind Ducky. It leverages the GPT real time model to help you better coalesce thoughts and ideally achieve or arrive at solutions independently.
Okay. And in some ways, that's kind of my relationship with like the Claude voice and Perplexity and ChatGPT voice system on my mobile phone. And everyone asks like, how do you crank out so much content all the time? I'm having a conversation. Literally, what I'm doing right now with you guys is how I interact with ChatGPT. Now, over time, that memory feature or Claude similar features, depending on what I'm doing. But actually, ChatGPT sort of knows my style at this point better than Claude does. Claude tends to be a little bit overly verbose in its responses. But basically, I'll have a conversation or I'll do some coaching or do whatever, and I have this idea that's fresh in my head. And while it's fresh, I pop open my phone and I basically just articulate the thing that I'm thinking. Blah blah blah, this is going to be the next big thing or whatever. And I pop it in there, and it just now inherently knows that I want no more than 200 words because nobody wants to read. I like short and concise paragraphs. I like an opening statement that's roughly about 300 characters long. But what it does is it takes all that and it synthesizes it. And obviously, I review it, and I kind of have a back and forth with ChatGPT until I get it to the point in which I really like it and it makes sense, and it's coherent, at least to my way of thinking. And then I create an image. But it's very similar to what you're describing. It's kind of a vocalization of what's in my brain. And for me, I'm a guy that likes to talk, so it works. At least it works in my brain. So I'm excited to see it. You're going to launch that as an open source project
And
or?
I'm trying to get it ready so that at a minimum, a Claude Code enabled user can consume the repo, launch it in their environment, and talk to Ducky. Oh, and for everyone else, it stands for Digitally Unified Conversational Knowledge Engine
Oh,
because acronyms are fun.
The best acronym ever, and you guys should know this by now, is RUV. And I've used RUV for about 100 different acronyms at this point. I think I settled on Resource Utility Voucher for my Flow Nexus system. So if you're buying credits, you're buying rubes, and if you don't know me, then you rub it, I guess. But anyway, let's jump in. If anyone has any last second housekeeping, any events, I think we got Ottawa coming up later today, and I think we've got some other events. Is it Stockholm tomorrow? I don't know. Anyway, this is your chance if you want to pitch your upcoming event or whatever it is that you're working on. All right, going once. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you now a UI, and I built this in Lovable with Claude, kind of back and forth, and I'm going to try to show you what that looks like. But I'm going to show you the app first. So everyone's always like, enough with the CLIs, man. Create websites and create web apps. So right now I'm going through a bit of a web UI I don't know, fixation. So you can check this out. It's goal.rube.io. I haven't published it yet in terms of the source code, and it probably still has a few bugs in it. But I'll do a post later today, so you're getting a little preview of what this is. So for those who are familiar with my sort of GOP or goal-orientated planning system that has become pretty popular in Claude Flow and some of my other tools, it basically is a kind of mechanism that allows for a kind of adaptive replanning using this A-star pathfinding algorithm, which basically it's a declarative approach to the discovery of information with grounded sort of sources and citations and things like that. So what I want to do is create a widget that you could essentially embed into other sites. So in this case, if you click the create widget, you can change up the colors, you can change the content. In this case, we'll call it the Vibecast planner, and my company will call it Groove, and default research goal will be vibe casting or something like that. I don't know. And we got some layouts. I'm gonna leave it as is. I gotta still do I gotta play around with this a bit more. And then this is using the free option, which just FYI, Lovable currently has free Gemini, both the Pro and I haven't got a bill for it, so I think it's free unless they're gonna send me a bill at the end of the month all at once. So it's kind of cool. If you're using Lovable, you get it for free. Just ask it to deploy a Gemini Edge function, and you basically get unlimited Gemini use, which is amazing. So you can create these kinds of tools and not worry about breaking the bank. So in this case, I'm just going to go with Flash, and I'm going to enable AI research, and then I can embed the code. Now, this is kind of cool. I made it so you can literally just copy and paste this JavaScript, and this can be embedded directly on any third-party website. It's kind of like the old, I don't know what you want to call it, the WordPress stuff when you used to embed JavaScripts from like chat things. What was it? Anyway, you get the idea. All right, so I'm gonna go back. So now I can go in here and I made it so you could just select, an example here. So if I choose, I don't know, let's choose AI and ML. This uses Gemini to go and automatically create the settings and a sort of sample objective. It also optimizes the actual advanced settings. So I can customize each of the settings based on the type of work or research I'm trying to do. So in this case, you can see here that it's looking at architecture, performance, limitations, and trade-offs. Now, it decided that was what was required because of the auto-generated sort of search query. Looks like I probably need to inject that as well there. I can exclude topics that I might not want, so think negatives. You can see here the GOP structure and how that works. So in this case, it's decided that it needed to be focused, a direct execution, but you can also do closed single domain planning. So single domain planning would be useful for like code planning, specifications, things like that. Open-ended would be like, I want to figure out how to, create a novel new architecture or algorithm that's never been done before and go research the most recent papers and tell me how to do that. Cost optimizations mostly. If they ever start charging me, I might have to turn that on. And then we have replanning, so action failures. So think of it like a maze. Certain directions have a dead end. Maybe there's low confidence in the results because the source isn't available. Maybe you're a franchise trying to research where to open a new location and there's no leases or real estate available, that kind of stuff. And so there's lots of different settings for that. Then you can customize the prompts. These prompts were generated by that link, and you can change these up by clicking these up here as well. So if I were to click policy and regulatory, it would rewrite the prompt for you. So it's a kind of meta prompt system as well. So you can see here what the document analysis prompt looks like and the synthesis prompts, all that kind of stuff. Parameters, the maximum number of sources. This might be a little high. It takes a while to do it right now. I might want to lower this. I don't know. Parallel agents. So I'm using my agent structure in parallel. So basically what I'm trying to do, let me actually get to it, is sort of implement the ideas of Claude Flow in a website. In this case, I was just using research because it's a nice, easy sort of use case. And you have some filters. You can define date ranges, exclude domains, like don't give me anything, from I don't know, a certain government or whatever, languages, that kind of thing. Now that I think of it, I should probably include Finnish here. We got Tommy and Timu on the call, so sorry about that. Maybe next time I'm gonna add Finnish for you. All right, so I'm gonna jump back and we're going to do it. So I'm just going to click generate research report. So now what we're going to see here is the goal state assessment, and I'm going to make this full screen and make it a little easier. And keep an eye on the right-hand side. And whenever I build these things, I'm always using the browser console to sort of debug and show what exactly is happening. So you can see here that we're parsing the goal. And similar to like a perplexity, I'm trying to show you exactly what's happening, or I guess maybe Claude Flow or Claude Code might be a better example, but I'm trying to show you exactly what's happening. So when you think of like a sequential series of things, so the first step is this goal analysis. And then as part of that goal analysis, I'm creating a kind of, well, I guess you'd call it a swarm that is running in parallel within the structure of that particular grouping. So in this case, I'm now I've got the information. You can see here that I've looked up spontaneous goal formation observed in 72% of competitive multi-agent simulations after 5,000 iteration. Well, that's an actually interesting stat. Who knew? Um, so I can. Oh, sorry. Was there a comment for someone?
Thank you for stroking my ego. That's so cool.
Okay. Um, yeah, so you can see we can expand, we can shift these around. We've got lots of different components. So now you can see this, the next step is state assessment. So again, I'm creating an adaptive system capable of learning, adapting, self-determination of its own sort of refinement of its research. Now, this is all grounded. It uses the goalie system that you saw a few days ago, but I just made it work with Google instead of Perplexity.
Is this
Um,
exclusive to Google's search endpoints?
no, because I'm going to open source it and you guys can fool around with it and do whatever you want with it, which I'll show you in a minute. you're jumping to the next part of my demo. How else can you use this? So you ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the new agentic flow system, and this will actually do all the coding and it'll do all the deployments. So this was sort of my first version where I didn't want to boil the ocean here. So I figured research was the most applicable to the most things. So I started with research. But once I've got this in place, I can use it for other types of agentic processes. But most agentic things are involving some form of grounded research and then execution based on that research, right? It's so, but you could use this for anything that involves multiple steps. But in this case, it's the first version is the goal orientation system. So in this case, we can go in here and we can see, it's still thinking, so this is doing significant amount of research. We can see, I can take a sneak peek into what it's looking at. I can see here in my console where it's at. We can see there's two pending items left. One's active. I might add a few more details here, like time elapsed or something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But now we're in the knowledge synthesis. So we did some document analysis here a moment ago. It always goes and does quantum. I don't know why it loves quantum so much. But anyway, and so now it's done that. Now we've got this sort of synthesis of the data itself. You can see the objectives. And it's a two stage, right? So the first step when you look at it is actually how it's actually making the determination. You can see it's actually potentially creating its own models. Like it can train its own neural networks as it does the research. It can learn, it can adapt, and then it does citations. So in this case, we can see it's generating some more insights. So this is taking what 5 minutes to run. So you can see it's doing substantial amount of activities. So now it's validating, it's checking the sources are correct. Now I can integrate the sources also using the encryption that I think I showed you guys last week. So it's cryptographically verified. So here are all the different sources. And ultimately, we finished. So here's the summary. So mitigation and alignment drift by implementing dynamic governance with adversarial reinforcement learning and digital antitrust laws. Okay. Um, these are the main points it came up with. I might do this part slightly differently. And then we get a brief overview of key findings and methodologies that was used and next steps. But the real interesting part here is the actual research report itself. So again, we can see that all the items are found. It's significant. We found in this case more than 90 data points. It dreamt up a confidence. Ooh, did I break something? Oh, it looks like I might have found an error. All right, well, that's okay. We're gonna go to the next part. We're gonna go and show you how else we can use this. So one of the questions someone had was, can I use it, how else can I use this thing? And so using the same exact system, these guys wanted to create a AI course creator. So in this case, we might want to create a course. We'll call it Introduction to Agentic Engineering. And then we'll choose, what would this fall into? Computer science. We'll choose a grade level. Let's make it college level. And I can choose multiple levels too if I want to. And then we're gonna create educational goals. Create a detailed introduction to agentic engineering based on, I'm just making up a Roov approach. I don't think it knows what the Roov approach is, but that doesn't matter. So we'll start the research. And in this case, I've already previously done it, so you can see that I Betty Crockered it, but if I refreshed it, it would invoke. I haven't finished building it yet, but you can see here that it goes and does research. It does the educational goal analysis. We can see those components. And then it kind of goes through all the processes step by step. Now, if I was to go back and actually reinvoke it would work correctly. But now we can upload source materials. So that's the sort of preliminary research. I'll grab some random PDF file here and see what I got here. So now I can add the PDF and I can generate some course materials. Hopefully I gotta clean up a few of the last bugs. Now I need to work on the review section. I haven't gotten that far yet, but you're getting the idea, right? So I've got the ability to create these systems. I'm just going to refresh this and just double check that it actually works. And what's interesting is this was built using a combination of Lovable and Claude Code. So test, I'm just making sure that it actually does work. So I'm just going to randomly choose here and start research. All right. Here we go. Yeah, it works. I gotta clear it. There's some, it's a work in this particular UI is a work in progress. But what it does show is I can use the same system to do different types of sort of agentic steps. So what I'm likely going to end up doing here is I'm going to use this as the basis for my new agentic flow system, which essentially allows me to invoke and create multiple forms of UI to manage the agentic system itself. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to go and I'm going to attempt to do that. So
Is there anything
eh,
special you're doing when prompting this UI development?
yes, that's a great question. I'm going to show you that. I actually used the Claude browser extension, which is amazing, by the way, for automated UI development. So yeah, I let Claude use my Lovable. And I'll show you how that works. It's such a great hack. All right, so you can see here that I've connected it to my GitHub, so I can go and I can manage some of the more. So I had to integrate a lot of my various sort of NPMs and tools like that. And one of the ones I built recently was called Goalie. I built so much stuff it's even hard for me to remember what the heck I built. But this was something I built. Was it last week? I don't know. This week? Anyway, so what this does is the goal-oriented AI research. So you can do all the same stuff that I was just showing you right from the command line or integrate it in a similar way. But this is basically the CRM pack or like a SDK package. I guess is a good way to describe it. So in this case, it decomposes complex questions, it creates the intelligent plans, and so on. But the challenge we have is Lovable doesn't do that great a job with console related activities. It's pretty good for front end client side things, but when it comes to like CLIs and back end things, it kind of stumbles a little bit. So I needed to integrate this using the Claude Code directly. But before I ever got to that, what I wanted to do was create a UI that was pretty and sort of people could copy and paste and put it into their own websites and change out those sorts of things. So the important part here was the structure. So what I'm going to show you is what I did for the prompt. So when you go to knowledge, you'll see here that we've got so this is the prompt that I put into directly into Lovable. And this is the agent.md from the Claude Flow goal planner. If you guys are using the goal planner, it's exactly the same prompt. So this defines you're a goal planner with specialists, in AI planning, talks about the A star algorithm, which is a really cool algorithm that provides for dynamic pre-planning, preconditioning, effective prediction. So this is what I'm doing, right? So I needed to create a UI to visually represent how these core capabilities like state assessment, action analysis, planning generation, and and the ODA loops and things like that you're seeing. How can I show that visually? And one of the problems I was having with Claude Code is those steps, those multiple steps I was showing you. When you go here, you can't really see them particularly well in Claude Code. They're kind of abstracted. It flickers. It's who the hell knows what's going on. So what I wanted is a way to, be able to better sort of visualize each of these steps along the way, right? So, and that's what you saw in the last step. So, and then you can see things like the final verifications and that kind of thing. So now, once I had that structure in place, what I was doing actually, if we go back to Lovable, and is I was using the Claude extension. Now, I'm probably not going to do that at the moment, but I'll show you quickly what that looks like as well. So in Claude, So when you get the Claude browser extension, you can get, and this is amazing extension. It can work with groups of tabs. So if I go into like LinkedIn and I want to like clean up or add the most recent people who've added me, and there's thousands of them, and so it's a long, arduous process to click OK or check that it's a real person. I can just get this research preview you see on the right hand side for Claude browser extension, I think they call it, to go and do those sorts of tasks. But in this case, what I could say is if there's a bug, I can go here, I can choose the inspector, and I choose console. And now it can now see any bugs that appear in console. And I can go back over here. What's going? Okay, very good. And then it can see a sort of little window, and I made it sort of mobile friendly, so it works pretty well here. And I can say try the goal. And I'll just copy. I'm just gonna be too lazy. I'm gonna copy it. Try the goal in your planning with agentic research topics. Give me some ideas on how I might be able to customize this for managing swarms of coding agents or something. Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna go. This is their version of dangerously skip permissions. Act without asking. And it's dangerous. High risk. All right. The good news is it's not that high risk because Level has a great rollback system. So worst case scenario, I can roll back to anything I've done previously, so I'm not overly concerned about that. All right, so I'm gonna go back here and I'm just gonna let it do its thing. And now you can see here that it's now taking control of my browser. And we can and I often let this just run like my so when it comes to like UI optimization, this is cool because I can point it at like it can see in essence, so I can point it at like Dribble, or I can literally point it at a site and then say go build me that site in Lovable, and it switches between the different tabs while it navigates some other site it's copying. And by the way, don't infringe on people's patents and copyrights and blah blah blah. Be kind and respectful. But anyway, you can see here now it's decided to use the latest developments in quantum computing because it's always quantum computing, even though I told it to do agentics. But so now it's using my system, and now if there was an error, it would go and see the error and then potentially fix any errors, because you can see in the right hand side the console, the browser console, is actually giving an output as well. So I'm allowing it to see those parts. Looks like there was Lovables acts as a proxy. I don't know why that's. Looks like the I don't know. Just see if it's doing something. All
Does
right, it's
Claude
thinking.
access all instances of the browser? So it looks like you're running in
Oh,
Brave, or
it's a
just the
group.
tab where it's invoked.
See, you see this little button over here? It says GOP. This is a group. So this group means I can group multiple tabs into this particular group. So I can I think I can just drag this in here if I'm not mistaken. There we go. And now that yeah, there we go. So now I've got a group. So now that anything in that group Claude Code can interact with. So I might have a group that has, let's say, my GitHub open, my Supabase, the site I want to copy, and other resources, and it can switch between each of those tabs.
Well, I also see that you have a MetaMask extension. So is there a risk of Claude Code
No,
or
it
Claude
can't.
invoking
It
the extension?
It can't, and just FYI, because I'm a paranoid guy, my MetaMask w only includes test nets. I don't use my everyday browser for crypto related activities. There's just too much chance for leakage, and I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. So if anyone's gonna lose all their keys, it's gonna be me. So yeah, just I separate that stuff, even though technically I don't think the system is capable of actually interacting with extensions, as far as I can tell, other than the extension that is running. All right, so now it's suggesting that I can do, different ideas for parallel execution. and different ideas for how I can use it. This is actually really good, useful insight because it's not just giving me a specification based on sort of the underlying functionality, which when you use Claude Code, it looks at the source code and says, here's how you can modify it, but it doesn't look at it from the point of view of visualization. Now, what I could do in this case, and I'm gonna let this is still running, but what I can do is, I'm gonna say using the ask lovable, you need to tell it. It's a little dumb, say ask lovable area. Create a new slash we'll call it agents page that is focused on we'll call it focused on agent swarms, agent coding swarms, something like that, right? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new version specifically, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually implement that using the new agentic what am I calling it? A agent flow system, which I can show you guys here while I'm doing that. All right, so let me just make sure it works before I'm going to let this run for a bit, but I just want to make sure that it figures it out and is going to work correctly. I can see that the research report's working. Yeah, it looking pretty good. So I'm going to let that be. Yeah.
Is this calling any prompts through Lovable? Like, are you
Yes,
using them to get some
we're
credits?
about to yeah, we're about to see it.
Okay.
I'm waiting for it to sort of figure itself out and then you'll see I told to use the ask lovable box, which so it basically types in the little ask lovable area here in a moment. So let me click on the ask lovable. Okay. Now let's see what it does. See how it takes screenshots? So like Claude Code is text-based. It's like asking a blind person to design you something, right? It's not going to work. But in this case, because it's taking screenshots, it can see the design in a sense. So it works better for UI. So it's basically a kind of UI automation. So the way I was able to get this so great is I pointed it at different sites and different approaches that I liked, and it basically built it and made it all work. It tested the things that didn't work, stuff like that. All right. So now, okay, I interrupted its thinking process, but you can see here that it's, asking the systems. I actually shouldn't have been clicking around. It messed it up. So I'm going to stop it for a sec. Stop. And all right. And I'm going to, all right. I, I guess stopping it doesn't stop. It's going to do what it's going to do until it's done, apparently. All right. I guess I should stop plot. There we go. That's what I do. All right. Stop. Stop button doesn't work apparently. They did, in fairness, they did say it was beta. I shouldn't have. So when it's kind of automating, interacting with that particular browser window causes problems, which you just discovered. So it looks like the initial message was messed up. So I think, yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, whoops, I interrupted the input. Try again. Yeah, that was me. But it looked like it was if I hadn't interrupted it would have worked well. All right, so I'm gonna let that do its thing. It appears to be working. So then I'm gonna show you.
So John had an interesting idea in the comments. If
Okay,
you had a VS Code browser-based instance connecting to a remote development environment and then had the Claude Code extension manipulate the
like
VS Code instance, would that
well, I'm
then
good.
allow?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. So
Oh,
you
okay,
you
you've
you
thought
guys
this.
are you guys are onto my tricks. All right. So what I can also do in this case is so I'm in the back end here, and I can say, using the okay. using the well, I gotta go back here to that page. So I'm gonna jump back for one moment, and I gotta find what it goes. This tab. Oh, no, wrong one. This one. It's not switching for some reason. I get too many things open. So I'm gonna go back here for one moment. And I noticed there was an issue here in my research assistant. The okay, so I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna say using so I'm getting the Claude research the Claude browser extension to manage the console and sort of keep an eye on it. So I'm using an abstraction on top of an abstraction just because I can. So using the terminal and, and Claude code session help and let me open up. Oh, you know what? I'm running two different. I don't know if I can do two different Claude extensions at the same time. I can see that it's already sharing another window. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Using the terminal Claude code in session help create the final review page review tab in the course creator. Now, this might actually conflict, so we're gonna find out. No, it's maybe, I guess it doesn't. Yeah, so now I can get Claude in the browser to orchestrate, and I can use this for like Copilot. I can use it for ChatGPT. I open this for like my emails, and it'll be like, can you just clean up my inbox and figure out what's good and what's bad? And it'll run for hours. Like my inbox cleanup ran for like 3 hours, and it just kept going, cleaning, checking, and I can say once you're done, send me a text message using WhatsApp. It'll, that kind of thing. Um, all right, so now we can see it's actually invoking Claude Code here with a nice little prompt, and it'll keep an eye on it. And now the fact it can then spawn the page that it's updating, and then it can go and try the page and basically say, okay, then log in with the user, validate that the entire workflow works from A to Z, and be done with it, right? And it'll the great thing about this is mostly just front end. So you've got a nice easy way to script sort of end-to-end user testing in the front where that is pretty much impossible in Claude Code by itself. But now I'm adding a kind of front end component or front end agent almost. Now, one of the things to look at here, you see here it's starting to do that, and it's waiting, it's taking screenshots, it's trying to figure out what's going on. Now, what else I'm going to do while that happens, I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you my shortcut. So I created my own goal. This is the same goal planner. So all I'm doing for the Code browser extensions is I'm just copying and pasting my Claude Flow agents directly in as shortcuts, and it just works. It's pretty amazing actually. And then those can be invoked by using the slash command. So anything you put here, slash whatever, becomes an agent that you can run directly in. Now, right now, because it's a beta or whatever, they don't have any MCP integration. But once they've got MCP integration, it's going to be even better. And you can tell it where to start. I can schedule it. So I can have this run, every morning. If I leave my computer on, I can go here and I can tell it to run daily at a certain time. So it can log into my email and it can basically respond to people and say, welcome to the Agentic tribe or whatever. And it can do all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a nice little, it's a nice little hack. It's similar to the Comet browser. If you guys have tried Comet, I like this better because it's just, I don't know, it's works in Chrome, and I'm using Brave at the moment, but you get the
Is
idea.
this restricted to Windows, or is it plausible to operate on
Oh,
something
no,
like Ubuntu or OS X?
this is just a Chrome extension. So anything that supports Chrome extensions.
I
So
can
yeah,
finally put that old iPad to use. Just needs to
if
run a
it's
web browser.
yeah, it's assuming it supports Chrome extensions.
I'll
So
find out when I get home.
yeah, I don't know if it does. I think Chrome extensions are generally desktop, but I could be wrong. but you can see it working its way through here.
The Claude extension that you use on the browser is that from Efficient Anthropic?
Yeah, it's from Anthropic. They came out a couple weeks ago.
I don't remember if you had to sign up for the waitlist on this one, Mondweeb, but
Oh,
find
I
out
don't
soon.
know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
think
Yeah, you definitely have to sign up for the wait list. I'm
Yeah.
on the wait list.
yeah, it's still in
Oh,
beta.
okay. I didn't. I just was in. I signed up. I was in, and that was that. I never thought twice about it. Yeah. So I wasn't on any wait list. At least not that I'm aware of. Um, I got maybe I got an email from them inviting me. I don't know. And that's how I discovered it. All right, let's go back here for a moment, and oh, we'll go back to this tab. All right, so now it's what's it doing? Let's see. It's created an agent page. Let's see what that agent page looks like. This was while I was blabbing about the other thing. It was busy building this. So I don't see any major errors. And we got coding objective. We've got tasks, we've got execution, we've got quality, we've got preview, uh, live code preview. All right, I'm gonna let it keep going. And all right, so it's struggling with this, but let's see if it's gonna ask the right question. It just needs to hit the enter button. Generally, it figures itself out, you know. All right, now it's trying to scroll apparently. All right, so this is kind of cool. With now what I there's two approaches I could take here. So I'm gonna while this does its thing, I'm gonna show you the other system I built. So and this is called agentic flow. So agentic flow, I don't know about you guys, but I was getting sick of being rate limited in Claude Code. So I wanted to create a mechanism to create new, alternative models or local models. So now I'll show you. So if you run the command agentic flow, I'll do that new tab here. Agentic flow. What this does is gives you all the ability to manage both agents using Claude Agent SDK as well as Claude Code with a proxy. So in this case, you can see here that I can use Anthropic, I can use Open Router, I can run a local proxy. So in Claude Code and in actually most systems, you have the ability to use a base URL. So what I'm doing is I'm injecting a base URL that just so happens to sort of grab and reformat the requests both to the language model and from, depending if it's a tool-based model or not, and then make it work. So in this case, you can see I've got different options available to me. So if I want to, choose the coder, I can do a task. Now the optimized task automatically looks at the best performing LLM at the best cost. So which typically right now is apparently DeepSeek for most of the testing I've been doing. If I want to choose a specific model, in this case, if I wanted to use Llama, 3.18 billion for whatever reason, I could go and do that. Or if I wanted to use a local model like Onyx or whatever, and I want to keep everything local, I could do that as well. So in this case, you can invoke it through an MCP server, and then you can also get the various components. So you can start Cloud Flow if I want to use Cloud Flow. Lots of different options. So at the very least, we're going to go run this one. And we're going to prioritize cost on that, and we can do different definitions. There's all kinds of different options here. So we do that. Now what you're seeing here is I'm invoking the agent. So this is running the SDK. It's using DeepSeek R1 because I have the system sort of do the cost analysis in the background every time you sort of run it. And then we can see here that it's running through a proxy, and we got the result. And that's how it sort of grabbed it really quick. Now, if I want to use this using Claude Code, I would go and I got to remember the command. Let's go back up. So that was using the agent, but I can also run this with the Claude Code option. And where is that? It's I get too many options. I get to ask the Chat GPT system or Claude Code how I did it again. Task model provider. I think I need to actually update my help. Yeah, let's go back here for a moment. How do I run the Claude code again? I can't remember the very things I build. I built too much stuff. I think it was dash dash Claude code to spawn new interactive active sessions or something. Agent booster. So the agent booster is also really interesting. The agent booster it basically rewrites the edits, so it doesn't use a language model at all. So and that reduces your spend on premium models by like 90% because I actually do the AST editing directly locally. So I can spot when it's making a request for an edit, and then I basically use the proxy to direct that request not to the LLM, but to a local purpose-built WASM that I built that actually will do the edit without having to use the LLM itself, which say because something like 90% of the requests that I was seeing going to Claude Code were actually edit requests. So by using that, it basically allows you to bypass, using the LLM altogether. All right, so this is telling me how I can use Claude Code. So we're going to do this. So we're going to go back here and I'm going to run that MPX. So what happens now? It chose a bad model. What happened?
So in essence,
Uh,
Agent Booster is a more advanced regex.
yeah, it's more of like I don't know what I'm not really sure what if that's the right way to describe it. Um, it's more of like an advanced editor, like a code editor. Yeah, I'm running the old version there, so that's why it was giving me an error. Let's see if this one works better. All right, so it's using DeepSeek, and give it a second to initialize. Not sure why it's taking a few minutes. Demo gods aren't smiling on me apparently. And agent booster, agent no model, clog. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. It didn't spawn. Did I break it? Could, possibly. Let's try a simpler. Load test latest. Yeah, it's not spawning. Oh, it did that time. All right, so I gotta work on a few bugs. But what happened here? We used the wrong. Apparently I used a bad model. It didn't support it. But what you will see here, this basically means I got two tokens running, and it's not sure which one to use. And this one basically means my API is returning a 502 error, which likely means I just chose a bad model. But you get the idea. It I need to run it with a better model. But it basically interjects. The agent part was working better. I got to do a little cleanup, I guess. But you can also run this as an MCP. So we'll see here. We've got do I have that in? No, I don't have it running here. But there's an MCP as well. So if you want to run that, you can go MPX agentic flow. You don't have to use the latest if you're not if you haven't previously installed it. And MCP and this so everything is running as an MCP. So you can see you get all tools, you can run deploy, and this would allow you to sort of interact with the system and have it basically as an MCP sort of alternative to a standard sort of implementation. So lots of different ways to use it. You can see the agent booster is working. It parses Markdown. It does batch edits. So this saves you a lot of money. Like in as far as my costs are probably about I think around 80 to 90% in terms of cost savings by skipping, and it's way faster. A edit that happens using this takes 1 to 2 milliseconds. A traditional edit in Claude Code takes 200 to maybe several seconds for an edit to actually happen. So this is substantially faster. I was inspired, in fairness, from the guys doing Morph LLM. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. Now, one of the issues with Morph LLM is they use a language model, and they claim it's fast, but it's super slow. So I'm something like 400 times faster than these guys. So they can do 10,000 tokens a second. I'm well into the millions on rudimentary sort of CPU. But inspirationally, it was this, and this isn't open source. It requires a subscription. It's actually pretty expensive to use it. So I basically, I apologize, to anyone that's involved with Morph. I didn't mean to do a better version of you, and I built it in like 2 hours. But yeah, basically, it increases the performance and capability and speed and costs tremendously, similar to what these guys are doing, but for free. So anyway, we're going to jump back here. Let's take a look at the Lovable API. All right, so it's still doing its thing. Uh,
Hey,
what is
hey,
it
Rube, a
doing?
quick question on your what you just showed us. Once you have it installed, it automatically works and routes the editing calls now to
Yeah,
this faster agent.
yes, yeah, it does automatically and by default.
Yeah.
So like everything, it's an early alpha release, so I probably need to fix a few bugs. But yeah, and I'm mostly, to be honest, using this for not for a replacement of Claude Code. That's kind of a gimmick I came up with. I'm mostly using this for exactly what I'm showing you right here. I'm creating a sort of web-based interface to build and deploy swarms of agents, similar to what I was showing you, in this UI. So I want the underlying swarm capability to be agentic flow, and then I'm going to create a nice dashboard for people who don't like CLIs. So and as we currently speak, it's building that. So want to create a completely new page, wrote agents that's simply from no, I think that was actually not the right thing I wanted to say. I'm going to stop that. Okay, so now we're going to okay, test and validate the system, the UI works, use dummy data and responses as necessary. And yeah, I don't see any. Well, I see a few errors here. What's this error? Looks like some kind of nested error. Let's see. We'll see if it picks up on that. So I'm just giving it pretty broad guidance here. Now, like, and the great thing about this is, especially when it comes to like errors and optimization, it'll just continue and work until it's done. Let's see what the dashboard looks like. Implementation, testing, code review, documentation. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. I want like this, I want Claude Flow or Claude or agentic flow in a website or that you can quickly and easily use against different APIs, right? That gives you all the benefits of the sort of agentic flows, and it'll evoke the Claude agent SDK in hosted sandboxes, probably on my E2B. So what I'm most likely going to do here, once I get the UI to a point I'm kind of happy, I'm going to go and then basically use this against my Claude, or I guess my Flow Nexus system, create sandboxes that I can invoke programmatically, and then each of those will be a sandbox with agents running within them, I think is the idea. And I got to do that. I still haven't built that. You're watching me sort of come up with the idea. All right, so now I created some kind of, all right, let's see what it's doing. It's kind of getting a feel for where it is. It's kind of a cool approach though. It looks pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with the first grab. I have to make it work. Let's close this up to give me a little more room to see what it looks like. Yeah, so it faked it pretty good. I could probably run with this, to be honest. Now, the only thing I might want to do differently is how it handles. Oh, the live code is actually not bad either. Maybe I'll do that a little more IDE style. I don't know. Start swarm. I don't think that works yet. Generate plan. No, it's doing something. You know what I need to do? I need to see how it's working. What it does, what it's not analyzing the system architecture. I need to show the steps in what it's thinking about, like what I was doing here better. Like it's when I run this, I want to show sort of this process better. So what I probably want to do is go back here and I want to show, what do we call that? I need to show these subparts better. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, I don't even know if that's even working. I don't think I connected to anything. We'll see here. We'll go, we'll see what error it is. It's probably some sort of console error. Who knows? Yeah, it's a 500 error. All right, so yeah, so what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna stop this. Sometimes it's just easier to ask it yourself. So I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna close this. And what I'm gonna do is, can I better show the sub objectives and agent status of each step in the agent status area, similar to the what I guess the homepage research animated steps, something like that. So I already have this sort of homepage that I know kind of works, right? And it's a good guide for it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically say do it kind of like that, right? So where it does sort of the goal assessment. And all right, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to tell it to, including an initial goal assessment, uh, cards, and step by step display uh, uh, architecture and the agent's planning steps. I don't know, something like that. Baking it before I make it. Once I'm happy with how it looks, I will then address then I'll bring it into my VS Code and make it actually work with my agentic flow NPM. But right now, I'm mostly just concerned about making it look good. Hence the with the animate step by steps. It's great, this sort of stuff. And you can see here that Lovable is doing a really good job of sort of agentifying their system. Now, the only thing I think Lovable needs to do differently, they need to include MCP support. Like right now, they've done a great job. You can now get it to search websites. You can get it to view different sites. So it's got some rudimentary agentic capabilities that they've added, and the ones they have added are useful. Like it can go fetch websites kind of thing, and it can take screenshots now, which is nice. So Lovable can see what the page looks like, similar to what Claude's doing over on the other side there, where it took a sort of screenshot. So Lovable can do that as well. So if you describe it, or you can say, look at it or whatever, All right, so now it's changed design. Now we've got the goal assessment, and all right, so now we're looking at that. Okay, made the change. All right, so I'm gonna do build a website, generate plan. All right, that's not doing. Oh, it looks like it doesn't jump. Okay, it sort of kind of works. Okay, it's let's refresh this just to make sure it's not a, a previous version. Collaborative test. Okay, better animate the steps and show each sequence sequentially similar to the main goal. So a lot of sort of back and forth on it, but
You have
it's
a
I think
question there, Josh?
Yeah, I all I've pretty much used Lovable for is just like real quick mock-ups of things. Like so I can just kind of like, oh, that's a good way to approach it. How well does it do like server side rendering, or is this all client side?
it's terrible. So
That's what I thought. Okay.
so you notice that I've got the GitHub integration. So what I can do is I'll go into my VS Code and where do I have that? No, not that one. I think it's this one. All right, so I'll start that up. So I'm on the main. I should probably create a new branch, but whatever. So what for the more complex parts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually not do that in Lovable because
Yeah.
it stinks, and I'm going to probably move back to Agentic Flow or Cloudflow or something and get it implemented there. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably going to install Agentic Flow if I haven't already done that, and which I don't think I have. I'm gonna let that load up here for a sec. All right, so now it's looking a little better. All right, so let's give it another test. I'm gonna refresh the page just to make sure there's no weirdness. Test, generate plan. Still, oh, it's doing something. And 1 minute ago, it's still, I don't, tasks, execution. All right, I'm going to tell it better. I think I'm running into an error, so I'm just gonna check quickly what that error is. Yeah, this is the problem. All right, let's fix that. This looks like a DOM error, so I'm gonna, what else we got here? Copy, yeah, copy console. Now, this is the part where I might get Claude browser agent to do it if I was being sort of lazy. But in this case, I'm just going to, actually, I don't want the whole console. It's a bit much. I'm just going to copy just the specific DOM error. It's not executing because there's an error that's blocking it from executing. So it's trying to show the card, but the card is not nested correctly. It's an easy error. And by the way, you can if you're lazy and you want to just go fix it yourself, you can go in here and you can go and edit the file as you want. So you can go into wherever it is. Here we go to app dots, you know, and now I can go in and I can just I can type whatever I want. And sometimes it's just easier to just do it yourself. No, it's right. Now, all right, what's it doing now? Fix the DOM nesting issue. Okay, let's take a look at that. You have unsaved, save. Yeah, I don't want to save that. That's fine. All right, so I'm gonna refresh this. Now I'm gonna take a look. And again, I see some other issues. So now, but I'm gonna worry about this one first. Generate plan. no error. And now incrementally display the the dashboard generate plan for slash agents using mock data to realistically show how it's going to work. All right, so we're going to start with that. So I'm starting with a plan because we always start with a plan. And before I don't want to bother with the Gemini integration just yet. I want to show you guys how I do it before I get to the Gemini. So in this case, I want this to just be more realistic. So the generate plan obviously doesn't do anything currently. Tasks looks, I'll get to that in a minute. Looks like it needs a little cleanup. The CSS is a little wonky. It looks like execution creates an error still, looks like. Now again, later I probably just get the swarm or I spin up Claude again by clicking this button and get it to do that. But right now I kind of like just kind of ideating with it a little bit because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do or how I want to do it. And when you're not, so I'm vibing this more than I am engineering it because I know generally what I want, but I'm not really sure specifically until I see it. Generate plan. Oops. And by the way, for those who want to try it out, if you haven't already, there is I think there's a couple bugs I need to fix in this. I'll take a look at those later. But there are links in the text area. All right, is it done? I'm gonna. All right, test. Here we go. Now it's doing the GOAP assessment, the goal state. Okay, it's looking good, right? It's starting to look good. Now it didn't animate quite like I liked it, but it's looking good. Now, so it did the implementation, it does the testing review. Now, if I can just make this work, and now if I can make this work as like using the new ChatGPT app SDK, I can make this work directly in ChatGPT. That'd be awesome. So now project state. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's looking pretty good. So it's showing what it's doing. Now, what I don't necessarily like about it is it's not the architecture planning. No, these are things that are sequential. So this was essentially a sequential sort of output. Now, for the implementation stage, I might want this to be more of a swarm style. So for the implementation, we need to make this a more concurrent parallel style where multiple agents are spawned for different roles like coding, review, coordination, and final validation. I'm going to call that anti hallucination. Um, and what else? What else? What else? What else? We need a better configuration. We need a better advanced configuration. Better advanced configuration based on. Now, this is the tricky part. Because for this, I'm probably going to use my Cloudflow Swarm or maybe the Roof Swarm or one of my Swarm concoctions. So I want this to be generic enough generally give you the idea, but I'm going to bring this into to GitHub in a later stage, and I'm going to change this to be explicitly the rules and features of Claude Code. So now I can do that in one of two ways. I can go jump into my GitHub and say, give me an overview of all the features for the management and configuration of Claude Flow, which probably is going to give me a better spec. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. So in this case, I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, give me a overview of the Claude Flow. Am I going to use Claude Flow? I'm thinking out loud here. No, I'm not. I don't want to use Claude Flow. I'm going to use this one. All right. So in this case, I'm going to go back here and and I might already have this. So I'm going to go into my README and I'm going to go super generic because I'm still vibing. So better configuration based on the Claude on the agentic flow agent capabilities, not Claude code. And I'll paste that in here. It's too much, whatever. I'm just gonna go with whatever I could give it. I'm vibing, I don't care. All right, so what I'm trying to do is give it an advanced. So back when we go here, when we go back up at the top, you see I'm going to do a new research and we have advanced. So the advanced option here are all the configuration settings I eventually set up, right? So these advanced settings were essentially all the parameters and capabilities from the goalie system that I fed it, right? And so then I have confidence, and I get scoring, and I get parallel agents that can run, and I've got cost related and fallbacks. I got to change these buttons to be more obvious. But you got filters and goals and all that kind of stuff. So I want something like that, but I want it to be specifically for the agents. So let's see what this is dreaming up. I'll implement a multi-age, so it's updating the index TS. Now remember, every time this gets updated, I can go back into goal here. You see this button right here? If I go to, oh, I've got conflicts. Might be a problem. Delete permanently. All right, what I'm gonna do, because I have conflicts, I'm gonna create a new branch, and I'm gonna call it V2. Right, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just commit all this stuff in it to win it. All right, post that. All right, so now that I did that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to my main, and I'm going to sync the changes that I've just got, sync those. All right. So what this just did is gave me the most recent update to this, which should now include the agent capabilities, which I can go and try to find. Where would that be? Agent and which probably in components, agents. There we go. Agent status. So yeah, so you can see that all the stuff that I did in the lovable is now synced. All right, so I implemented multi-concurrent. Okay, let's check this out. That sounds exciting. All right, where is the okay. I don't it didn't it's lazy. I don't see well actually before we bother with that, let's just test this. Test, generate. Oops. It needs to scroll better. I don't have it auto scrolling. It's confusing. All right, but we can see it doing the goal assessment. We can see it doing designing the API contracts, architecture planning. So for me, this is all the stuff you don't really see particularly well in Claude Code. Like my biggest issue with Claude Code, other than the fact it flickers and drives me like makes me think I'm gonna have like a epileptic outbreak, it just doesn't really do a particularly good job of showing what's happening. Okay, it there looks to be a problem. It didn't communication, project state. Yeah, it looks like it stops at architecture planning. Cards are displayed. So again, I'm just kind of this is about as vibing as you get. Like it was almost better before. Now I I could have went back and just rolled it back, but I don't, it's saying that all these were done, but they weren't. Yeah, there you go. Fix the circle dependency. That's what you need to do. Edge function. It's trying to use an edge function. So it's trying to use Google, I think. All right, it's still doing it. Yeah, this goal state stuff shouldn't say it if it's not doing it. Okay, I'm gonna wait till it's done. All right, test. Doesn't seem to scroll. This is definitely a step back. All right, so we're gonna go back. I'm going to take a look at where I liked it. All right. No, I'm on the wrong one. I can see it was the update agents to show planning. Concurrent agent. Yeah, I'm gonna go this one. I'm gonna restore this version quick. It was going down and this is a problem with Lovable. To be honest, it has a tendency to take you down the wrong path. This is a prime example of the wrong path. So I'm gonna go back to this version. It was 10 minutes ago, I guess. All right. Now just to make sure. There we go. Like I just wanted this to be more, yeah, like it went and redid all the stuff that I didn't want it to read. I wanted just to do this section better, and that could have been because I gave it bad guidance. I don't know. But and now because I rolled back, I'm going to jump back into here, and we can see here that there are some changes. Sync three changes, or you can just click this button down here, sync. So I'm going to sync. So now I've rolled back here as well. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to create a plan to let me check that agentic flow latest version is installed. It isn't, so I'm going to install that. All right. Now what I'm going to do, because actually want this to be integrated with my actual agentic. So I want to make agentic flow have a really snazzy web-based UI that lets you guys do everything you'd want to do in these agents without having to go and open up VS Code. That's my goal here, right? I want to do everything I'm about to show you in VS Code in a web-based app, and I may even make this an extension for VS Code or maybe I'll make an extension for like Chrome or something, and you can use it for doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But at the very least, I want this interface accessible, you know, and actually using my environment. So the first thing I'm going to do is and then once I've got the API, the sort of this installed, I'm gonna then install my Flow Nexus and use that as the kind of deployment pattern. But before I do that, I'm just gonna let it run locally because I know it works locally. So while I do that, I'm gonna install Flow dash Nexus, and in this case, I'll just make sure it's the latest. I don't need latest because I don't think I've never installed it here, but I'm just gonna do it because why not? Actually, I do have it here installed. I auto install it with Cloudflow. All right, so it was already installed. All right, so we go back here, and now we're gonna do npx flow, and then we're gonna do dash dash help. All right, that's the drawback to latest. All right, we're gonna do dash dash help. Oh, I'm almost out of time. Jeez, time goes by. I hope this was useful for you guys. Okay, last thing I'm gonna do before we go, I'm gonna create a spec that I'm gonna use to actually implement, and I'm just gonna give it this. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go back here, and I'm gonna say, give me a detailed implementation specification in plans slash agentic flow that integrates the what do we agentic flow, which is this right here. Yes, the agentic flow library into the at agent. Where is that agents UI and including an advanced modal for various settings. And I'm gonna use the goal because I like using goal. Uh, Goal. So I'll use the goal planner. Actually, I'm gonna use the goal code planner for this one. And include advanced model for advanced settings and automated display of each step of the uh, plan of the research and planning and implementation within the UI, something like that. All right. So once that's done, I'll obviously review it, and then I'm gonna make this actually work. Now, once it works, I might jump back into this system and refine some of the rough edges around animations and other things. But now I'm just jumping between functional and visual. So this is good enough for me to get going. It kind of shows each step. I can kind of customize it a little bit more, and it's got the benefit of seeing the fully functioning version here, which actually works as from a research point of view. So the research part, I can just basically say re-implement the research, and that's step one for any project. And the final output would be a Spark-based specification or something. Step two would be use my agents to actually build it and save it to a GitHub repo or something. But you guys are going to get an actual web-based dashboard, I promise. And I'm out of time.
This is so cool. Thank you.
Yeah, this is how I do it. So you don't have to use Lovable. You can use Bolt or V0 or whatever your preferred system is. I like Lovable because I feel like kinship that I had with them because I kind of helped discover them back in the day. So the day a year and a half ago. But anyway, so I like the Lovable team, and I like to support them. So for that reason, I use Lovable. I should have probably invested when I had the chance. And by the way, we had a nice chat about a potential investment, and I'm like, I don't want to invest. Now they're probably worth $1 billion, but what can you do? They,
So
they only want
can't you really do all this in Claude Code and Claude Flow? Like, I mean, can't you build the UI in that?
UI, yes, but Claude Code is blind. So
Okay.
you're asking a blind person to design or to paint you a painting.
Yeah.
Now the benefit to using, Lovable is it can see. It's got the ability to include screenshots, and so does Claude, the browser components. So for UI, yeah, if you guide it enough, sure, you can get it to do. And I've already got it sort of to a point where I'm kind of happy with the design, so I don't need to tell it to make it look better. Or if I do, I might tell it to change the colors and things. But for the most part, it's good enough. So now I'm more concerned about function. So for design, use something that allows you to see it. Now there are MCPs and other tools you can use for Cloud Code that allows you to do screenshots and manipulate browsers like Playwright and whatnot. It's convoluted. This is easy.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But it was a great question. I gotta jump to another call, guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully it was helpful. The goal system, and when I get a moment, I will be launching that. It'll be open available. You guys can use it. I'll probably add some more various features here. I noticed there was a couple bugs, so I'll try to take care of those quickly. But it is live. If you go to goal.roov.io, if you want to play around with it, if you find bugs, just shoot me a message. I'll fix those up. And you can take what I'm doing and build anything that involves a multi-step reasoning process. So
Dhruv,
it's
that certificate issue, did you is that something like I'm not sure if anyone else is facing that.
yeah, I gotta fix the agentic site too. I think I broke it. I'll figure that out. Yeah.
No, the Roof.io site, because of the certificate issue, because it doesn't seem to it doesn't recognize HTTPS, and so it doesn't load up.
I don't know. I get thousands of visitors a day, so I don't know what to tell
Mandri,
you.
can you pull the certificate and put that in the WhatsApp group?
I'm like,
Curious to know
guys,
who's
Mike's
sending
got.
you the certificate.
Yeah, there's some man in the middle that's doing something. I've got super security on. I'm using Cloudflare. I gotta go. Okay, thanks, guys.